Welcome into the Belhaven Football Coaches Show. I'm Kenneth Nash, and joining me, as always, is head football coach here at Belhaven University, Blaine McCorkle. Coach, thanks for taking the time once again this week.
Thank you.
The Blazers coming off of a big 24-0 shutout win over North Carolina Wesleyan this past weekend. It was a great game, great defense. We got a lot of highlights we're going to look at here in just a bit. We'll talk about the game like we do, and then we'll preview this next week's contest against Greensboro as you guys head back to North Carolina to take on the Greensboro Pride. Coach, obviously, we start by kind of just diving into the game that we just played. 24-0. It was a great defensive game. That's probably the best way to kind of explain it. Can we get your thoughts on it and just what you felt like you saw from your team this weekend?
Yeah, it was a good win. There's nothing wrong with a 24-0 win in conference play for
Absolutely.
sure. And really proud of our defense and the effort that they put in. And Coach Connor and his staff put together a great plan because this was a very worthy opponent. You know, they run the ball really, really well. They've got a good plan. What Coach Fokowski and his staff does at Wesleyan is I got a lot of respect for it. I like their style of play. So it was a challenge. And those two backs they have run hard. They get downhill. And our defense met the challenge and had a really good day. The thing that I'm excited about, too, is kind of like we talked about last week at Methodist, all three phases had to contribute. You know, one thing we talked about was find the lead, extend the lead, and that takes all three phases. You know, we kicked a field goal to help extend the lead. The defense held them to nothing, which allowed the offense to slowly build a lead. And all three phases, once again, worked together to get a good win for us.
Absolutely. This is the first game in a couple of weeks that you've played that really hasn't been a back and forth kind of contest. You obviously, when you played at Methodist last weekend, that game came down to the final quarter. When you took on Huntington, it was trading blows and getting back to the game and trying to take the lead. When you're playing a game like this where it's not over early because you didn't blow them away early, but you felt comfortable and there was never an opportunity for them to really hit back at you. You know, what does that do for your sideline and your coaching staff to kind of be able to just, I guess, relax into the game, if that makes sense?
Well, yeah, it does make sense. And that's a good question. One thing you never want to do is relax into the game. You know, you want to stay a little bit on edge the whole time, regardless of the score, regardless of the opponent, regardless of the flow of the game, whether you're separating for somebody or it is a back and forth. Because anytime you relax, you get worse. You know, you get better, you get worse all the time. Nobody ever stays the same. And relaxing or getting a little bit complacent causes bad habits, causes you to do things that are uncharacteristic, that are not conducive to winning and getting better. And regardless of the situation, you're always working to get better. And that's one thing that we talked about last night in review of the game is the next evolution, the next step in the process of us growing a program is learning how to play as a favorite. You know, it's easy sometimes, you know, looking back the last few years when we, you know, weren't where we wanted to be and kind of having the underdog mindset and the chip on your shoulder. It's easy to get all fired up because you got nothing to lose and play with a lot of emotion and passion because if it doesn't go well, nobody expected you to do anything anyway. But when you start getting in games where you might be the favorite, that's a whole different mindset. And you've got to learn to keep the pressure on yourself. We talk about being at a 10 all the time, keeping your intensity up, keeping your energy up, and never relaxing.
Absolutely. On the offensive side of the ball, it was an interesting game. You put up some good yards, but I don't know that it was quite as free-flowing, or you didn't get quite started as quickly as you normally would like to. Could you talk about what it's like coaching in that game where you score 7 in the first quarter, it's only 14-0 at halftime, so you kind of have to keep coaching to go score more points, but at times it felt like the offense was struggling, I guess, to kind of find it in sync.
Yeah, well, what's fun about what you just said is it was only 14-0 at halftime, and who'd ever thought we'd be sitting here at Belhaven University talking about we're only up 14-0 at halftime.
That's fair. Yeah.
So sometimes you have to give yourself a little bit of perspective and say, hey, good for us, we've come a long way. But the fact that we're having that conversation, the fact that we're saying we're only up 14-0 at halftime, just speaks to the growth of the program. So that's really exciting. But to answer your question, we did have a very slow start offensively. Had a couple 3-and-outs right off the bat. Coaches did a good job really challenging the guys on the sideline to pick it up and wake up. You know, we're in a fight here and you got to come to work. And when we did respond, we looked like the Belhaven offense people have come to expect. We moved fast. We were physical. We marched the ball down the field and were able to get some scores. We just didn't do it consistently enough. You know, we did a couple of things that were a little uncharacteristic. We had a couple of really big drops on third down that could have kept drives going that really hurt us. So as we went back and looked at the film, credit to them. You know, they had a big physical defensive line. They've got a really good plan. They've got a really good front that's tough to block. So they created some challenges. But at the same time, as I mentioned a minute ago, we've got to show up ready to play all the time. You can't relax.
Absolutely. One thing that obviously stood out was the defense. A shutout held NC Wesleyan to under 200 yards of total offense, under 3 yards per play. They ran 71 plays, only 194 yards. It was really impressive. What does that do for that room? I know Coach Connor's got a great group of coaches, a great group of players, but what does that do for that defensive unit to go out and just be dominant, even if it wasn't tons and tons of flashy plays? Just to be able to impose your will, and if you bend a little bit, you don't break and you don't give up points on the scoreboard.
Yeah, well, it builds confidence for sure. It helps them create energy. You know, offense and defense are two completely different animals in terms of mindset. Mm-hmm. You know, offensively, sometimes you got to kind of process and feel things, and it's got to be perfect. They're a little bit more track athletes. We joke sometimes defensive players, they touch their toes and they go make a tackle. They're ready to go. You know, it doesn't take much to loosen those guys up because of the energy and the emotion. But at the same time, they've got to have the film study, the book learning side of it to be ready to go. You mentioned not flashy, but from a coach's perspective, we're playing a running team that runs the power. Every time we stuff that up for a no-yard gain, that's pretty flashy to me. I'm excited. I'm excited about getting to 2nd and 10 and then 3rd and 10. You know, I think their average third down was 3rd and 8. And, you know, one of the keys to victory as we go through the week last week was for our defense to be really good on 1st and 2nd down because of the style that they played. And we felt like if we could be good on 1st and 2nd down, force them into a 3rd and long, we'd have a really good day. And for them to have an average of 3rd and 8 on every 3rd down, that's pretty good. So there's some flash to that from my standpoint.
It is. It almost is probably unfair to call it flashy because you force turnovers too. Your pass rush was great, and like you said, you were able to slow up their run game. There are tons of highlights from this game, not necessarily as many on offense as we've gotten used to, but the defense showed out this week. Some really, really great plays by the Blazers defense. We will start with Chance Taylor, who had a great sack to get things going. The pass rush we mentioned, they didn't get tons and tons of opportunities to just get after it, but when you're in 3rd and 8 on average, that's a down where you pass rush. You can just say, go get the quarterback, and that's what Chance Taylor did right here.
That's right. Yeah, I think we had 6 sacks in the game. I'm not sure if the stat line shows that, but that's what our coaches came to after reviewing the film. And this one here is by Chance Taylor. We've mentioned Chance several times on the show throughout the year. Just so proud of him, just the journeyman he's been and just paying his dues. And he's been really, really productive for us this year. And excited to see him get a sack there early in the game.
Yeah, Chance did a great job. The offense did make some really great plays, though. Zach Hammond here, this kind of jump-started the offense a little bit. A nice ball by Tim Johnson and Zach Hammond, who has kind of been a Swiss Army knife in your offense at times this year, goes up and gets it. Nice grab.
Yeah, great play by Zach. I think we mentioned last year when he had the touchdown on the boot there at Methodist. You know, he's a great high school basketball player, and he kind of shows that again here. And really thought Tim would come off to the hitch, but you got to know your personnel as a quarterback, and he knew Zach could beat that guy, go up and make a play. So he put it in a good spot, and he went up and was able to extend the play with his legs after to put us in position for our first score.
Swiss Army knife is a brand we can use for a lot of players on your team. Raz Pace is one of those. He's a quarterback, he's a fullback, he's a running back, he's a tight end, he's whatever you need him to be. Right here, he takes it in, he runs, steps in a quarterback, but he's keeping it all the way, 11 yards for the score.
Yeah, 11-yard touchdown on the quarterback counter here for Raz, and he really can do it all. And really excited about what he brings to our team. You know, Raz and I had a meeting in the preseason where we kind of talked about what his role was because he is a quarterback by trade. And he's a quarterback on our roster. But we knew he wasn't going to be our starting quarterback. That's Tim's job, obviously, and Tim's doing a great job. But I kind of made the promise to Raz that if he's not exhausted every game, that's my fault. You know, and so we've got to weekly as a staff find ways to put him in different spots, get in the game and make plays because yes, he's a quarterback, but why have one of your best football players on the sideline because the position doesn't fit, you know? So really excited about what he does there. He gets excited, stands up, he's fired up. Then he goes holds for the extra point. Then he goes and covers the kickoff. So pretty awesome. I know Taysom Hill, I guess, evidently had a good game for the Saints the other day.
I think he was watching Raz Pace.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah, he is probably a Raz Pace fan.
Absolutely. The defense we talked about, they were kind of the story of this game. Eli Webb's a name we've talked about a lot. Connor Fordham's a name we talked about a lot. They combine here for one of those 6 sacks.
Yeah, really excited for Eli, freshman out of Fairhope, Alabama, who's just got an unbelievable motor. He's strong, he's physical, and his name keeps popping up week to week too. If he's not the conference rookie of the week this week, I don't know who he is. I'd like to see what kind of stat line that guy had. But really excited for what Eli's bringing to us, and every week his reps are growing more and more. So a good job by him getting pressure on the quarterback along with Connor Fordham getting a sack.
Yeah, those two combined came up with a big play. Brooks Breimer gets a lot of action at tight end. You mentioned when we were getting ready, you said you knew this play was going to be open. It was wide open. Tim hits Brooks Breimer in stride, 41-yard touchdown. Yeah,
we got to 2nd and 5 here, and we're in that fringe territory and plus territory where we can kind of take a shot. All week we felt like this tight end might come open, the corner might sink in, and it did. It kind of worked out just like we talked about all week, and I'm excited to see Brooks make a play here, wide open down the sideline, and takes it in. There's Raz escorting him to the end zone again. As we mentioned, Raz is everywhere. So really big play to extend the lead, as we talked about, to 14-0 before we headed into half.
You've talked a lot about this year about being able to play all three phases at a really high level. And that's not just field goals and punting. Kickoffs are a big part of it, too. You mentioned that you were able to hold them basically starting on average at the 17-yard line on when you guys kicked off. Here's Akarius Hodgen and Fabian Carter, two guys maybe we haven't talked about much this year. They come up with a big play, and this just sets up your defense when they've got to start in bad territory like this.
Yeah, Ice is a really exciting freshman defensive back that's going to have a really good future here. He came in ready to go. He had a great preseason. He's doing a lot of good things on special teams, and really promising future for Ice here. And he goes down here and makes a big play on the kickoff along with Fabian Carter, one of our receivers. And, in-house, we give a player of the week, offense, defense, and kick game. In the kick game this week, we gave the player of the week to the entire kickoff unit because they covered just with their hair on fire. They got down there and they were hitting people and making plays, and they were fast and physical. They averaged, I think, 10 a return, which is not much, and their average starting position after kickoff was the 17-yard line, and that's phenomenal. Great job by Daniel Krosky getting the ball down there and putting the ball where we wanted to give those guys a chance to get in their lanes and make plays. So really excited about what they did. We talked about complementary football. That's it.
Yep.
The defense is having a really good day. They can't move the ball. So kickoff team do a great job pinning them down there and make them march the field behind a defense that's playing with some confidence. So that's all three phases working together.
Eli Webb, we mentioned him earlier. We're going to mention him again, and I think we're going to mention him one more time on this one. He gets in the backfield. He almost jumped offside here, got back on side, and then makes a nice play.
Yeah, he does almost jump off sides, and glad he was able to get back in and make the big tackle for a loss here. And again, he's a wrecking ball. Kind of getting tired of talking about Eli. We've probably talked about him enough. But no, we're awful proud of him, and good job by him just being physical and getting in the backfield and making a big play here on third down to force them to punt backed up after our kickoff team did a great job covering. So that's, again, all three phases working together.
Great play by Eli. We mentioned the offense was maybe not in sync, but really by the end of it, they put together some really good drives, had some really big plays. Colby Blunt, we talk about him all the time, one of the best running backs, I would say probably in the country. Gets free, nice 28-yard run here.
Yeah, one of the big challenges through the week was that we needed to start better coming out of the halftime. We've been really productive on offense all year, but we haven't necessarily started well in the third quarter, and that was a big point of emphasis. We changed some things in practice to kind of create that situation and challenged them, and sure enough, they answered the bell. The first drive out of halftime, I think we went 8 plays, 60 yards for a touchdown.
Yep.
Here we get to third and short, got heavy personnel, and Colby spits it up in there pretty good. If you watch the block by Zay Stevens, he just crushes the linebacker fit in the hole right there. So
Yep.
really nice block by Zay to set that thing up and get Colby down the sideline.
That would help set up a touchdown. You had another third down on this drive. KJ Hickman made a nice grab to set you guys up for this touchdown run right here. Colby Blunt, once again, being able to punch it in. He feels like he's automatic inside 5 yards. When you get down there, you can just hand it to him and say, go score a touchdown.
That's right, and it was. We won't see it there, but that was a really nice job by KJ Hickman on the play before, going down and getting the ball on the backside slant there to put us down on the goal line. And we really have a mindset, when we get inside the 5-yard line, it needs to be one play and done.
Yeah.
All right, let's give it to Colby. Let's punch it in. Let's be big and physical and get out of there. And that's what Colby does here. Again, another great block by Zay Stevens and Bogan Brewer there on the edge on the power play, kicking out the end, and Zay leading, pulling there as a guard. So that was a great way to start the second half and really change the momentum for good.
It did. The defense, I'm going back and I'm thinking I shouldn't have said no. There wasn't a bunch of flashy plays because Corey Tolliver has a pretty flashy play right here. Goes up, basically just trying to throw it over his head, and I think they forgot how good his vertical is. He just goes up and grabs it.
Yeah, Corey had a great day back there for us. Had 2 interceptions before the day's over. I think he was our team's lead tackler.
Yep.
Had a pass breakup. Really, really productive, but great play by him on the sideline, just going up, making a play and coming down with it. And putting the offense in unbelievable field position. Field position for the offense all day was really, really good. And that's something we've got to capitalize on moving forward. When we get those opportunities, we've got to take advantage of them.
Yeah, you come away with a field goal here on that after that interception. So it sets you up. You get some points on the board. Constantine Hunt, as we know, he's been really automatic this year. I think he missed his extra point last week, one, and that was like the first one he's missed, I think, since he's been at Belhaven, basically. He comes up with a field goal here.
He does, yeah. This puts it to 24-0. Again, get a lead, extend a lead, and whether that's 3, 6, or 7, whatever it is, we're going to put points on the board when we can here to extend this thing. This is actually the 5th game of the year and the first field goal we've attempted all year, which is really hard to imagine. But again, that's a credit to our offense finishing drives when they get down there close. But good to see Beans go in there and extend the lead for the final score of the game, 24-0. And he's been really consistent, and we're excited with what he's done for us.
Yeah, you guys went up 24-0, and then it really was the defense that kind of showed out and continued to keep NC Wesleyan off the board and from really getting any kind of momentum. We haven't mentioned Carlton Brown yet, but we obviously it's a Belhaven football game, so we're going to talk about Carlton Brown at some point. He gets in the backfield here, comes up with a big sack.
Yeah, good to see Carlton get a sack here. He had a couple ones earlier in the game where he hit the quarterback, and he's just so explosive. You see when he comes free here late, I mean, when he hits you, he hurts you. I mean, there's some pop right there. And their quarterback is number 6, Hirschman, I believe was his name. I give him a lot of credit. He's a tough kid. You know, he stood in there the whole game, and he took some shots, and he just kept playing, and he was pretty resilient. And it was nice to watch guys on the other team show some toughness and do some things. So good for him. But, yeah, Carlton put a pretty good shot on him right there.
He did. And then Carlton almost immediately would get back in the backfield and team up with who else? Eli Webb to come up with a sack here.
Yeah, that's right. It's the old guy Carlton, the young guy Eli being in the backfield there, and it's good to see. And a lot of defensive highlights here. It's great to see. Those guys played really hard. They were fast. They were physical. They were ready to go. And good to see. I think I'm going to give that one to Eli. I think Carlton might have just fallen over it. Carlton's had enough in his day, so we'll give that one to the freshman. But really disruptive in their backfield.
Yeah, and then to close things out, NC Wesleyan was trying to get on the board. Had kind of gotten into really the deepest part of the field that they had gotten into. They go for the end zone shot here, and who else? Corey Tolliver, who ran that safety position well, ran that secondary really well, comes with his second pick of the day.
Yeah, they got in plus territory. We threw an interception. We had an uncharacteristic turnover. We've been really good with our turnovers this year. Hadn't had one in a couple weeks that I can remember. But they did get good field position there, and the defense had to go back there and stop them to secure the shutout. So excited to see them do that, just picking up the offense when they were struggling a little bit. So good for Corey getting his second pick of the day.
Yeah, and that's really a great play from a safety. That's like old school safety play, just watching the quarterback, seeing where he's getting ready to go, and then anticipating where the ball's going. Makes a great grab. 24-0 shutout. You guys are now 4-1 on the season, 2-1 in conference play. That was your first USA South win at home inside the bowl. Now you turn your attention back to North Carolina. 3 straight weeks of North Carolina opponents. You were at Methodist. You're home against NC Wesleyan this past weekend, and now you're going back to Greensboro to take on the Greensboro College Pride. Let's talk a little bit about that game. They're having a little bit of a slow start to the season, 1-5, but they are coming off their first win of the year against Southern Virginia. What have you seen from Greensboro in your early preparation and some stuff that we can kind of dive into?
Well, they are dangerous on offense. You know, they throw the ball around as well as anybody. You know, their record may not be what they want it to be right now. They did get their first win this week against Southern Virginia, but they put a lot of points on the board, and they got a lot of yards throwing the ball, and then they can move the ball down the field. So this is going to be a really challenging week for our secondary. We just showed a lot of highlights of our secondary doing some great things, and they're going to have to step up to the task again, you know, and it is a long trip. It's an early kickoff. So this is a trip that will really test our character and maturity of getting on the bus for another 2-day trip against a team that's really going to challenge you with the things they do and showing up to play at noon Eastern time. So we'll be excited to get up there and kick off. And it's supposed to be 68 degrees and sunny, so you can't beat it. We were watching the film. Their leaves are changing in the background, so some of our guys have probably never seen that in their life. So it's a great opportunity for us to play college football together again, and we'll be anxious to get there.
Yeah, fingers crossed, 2-day trip, right, to North Carolina.
That's right.
Fingers crossed, 2-day trip.
Yeah.
When you're preparing, and this would, I guess, be a great question for Coach Connor, when you've got a team that throws the ball a lot, your defense is coming off of a shutout where the pass rush was excellent, the secondary was really good. Does that just excite a defensive room to know that, hey, we're just going to be able to rush the passer and just get after it?
It does. It does. Our defensive line will be fired up to get in the backfield, I'm sure. Their quarterback gets it out really quick, so it'll be a challenge to get there, and they've got some receivers that'll make plays. We are going to do a couple things this week with our practice schedule to tweak it a little bit because their style of play is a little bit different than we've been getting ready for the last couple weeks that I think will really help both our defensive line and our secondary focus in on some more specific pieces of the game plan. So hopefully that'll work out well for us as we get ready to head up there Saturday. And
then on offense, real quick, obviously you put up 24 points, so it was a good game. But I think that you would be the first to admit that you would want to do even more, and you're constantly trying to build and improve what the offense is doing. Is there anything different that you're anticipating, or is it just we're going to go and we're going to execute even better than we did this past week to go put more points up?
Well, we've just got to play Belhaven football on offense, you know, and the mistakes I mentioned, the drops on third down and untimely penalty here and there really limit you and hurt you. You know, offense is all about confidence and momentum and tempo and things like that. So we just got to be us and play good, clean football, and I think we'll be in good shape. So I think our guys offensively will be eager to get to work this week and put a good performance up on Saturday, because they probably feel like they need to pick the defense up a little bit. We've got to work together in this thing, and we have all year, and there's no doubt we will moving forward.
One thing that we've talked about a little bit kind of off air is when you go on the road, and some people probably know this, some people may not, you have a travel roster. Not everybody that's on the team is going to travel up there with you. And so you put an emphasis when you're home, get guys on the field. You played over 70 guys in this game this weekend. What does that do for you as a coach? And is that, I mean, that's just got to be exciting to see guys that maybe not getting quite the maximum amount of game time, or maybe not being able to make some of these trips, to get on the field at home in front of a great home crowd and in a big win.
Yeah, that's true. We'll travel with 62 to 65 players. Kind of depends week to week. A home game we'll dress out 95, 97, 98. Kind of depends on our injuries and things like that. So a home game we're going to have 30 plus guys on the sideline that we don't on the road. If we're only traveling with 62, well, this past week against North Carolina Wesleyan, we played 72 guys in the game.
Incredible.
And that's awesome. That's what it's all about. That's what you want to do. What that does, though, is that puts pressures on our starters and our veterans to go in there and perform, because it's your responsibility to put us in a situation as coaches to be able to play those guys. In a perfect world, I'd play all 95 of them we dressed out, but you only get 4 quarters. The clock goes fast, and the sooner you can separate a game, the sooner you have an opportunity to play those guys. But I was excited that we got 72 guys in the game. I'm not sure we've ever done that. That's just a credit to the older guys going out there and handling their business to give those guys an opportunity. One thing we do after home games, too, on Sunday night, we have a very light practice, just in helmets and no pads, but a lot of our freshmen and rookies go out in full pads, and we'll let them scrimmage 12 or 15 plays just to keep growing, keep developing them, because their time is coming down the road, and we don't want to negate that or not give those guys an opportunity to continue to progress and develop as well.
Yeah, one thing you've talked about in past years is when you get a chance to get maybe the 2s or the 3s or some of these rookies in there, they're expected to hold the same standard that the guys that started do. And the more they can play, I'm sure the better they're able to keep up holding that high standard. They did on Saturday in a big-time USA South win. Coach, you're headed on the road. Good luck with travel. I know that those words carry some weight after the past couple of weeks. Big-time game against Greensboro College on Saturday, 11 a.m. kickoff up in North Carolina. If you're in the area, be sure to check it out. You can always find the stream through the Belhaven Athletic website as well. But, Coach, thank you for taking the time. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.